6 silent assassins that destroy the muscles of older people. At this very moment, around the entire world, thousands of people are aging and entering a process of muscle mass loss without even realizing it. There are no alarms ringing nor unbearable pains, but suddenly you wake up and notice that simple tasks, such as climbing a few steps of a staircase or even carrying the groceries, have become much more difficult than they used to be. You feel that your body does not respond as it once did and begin to wonder, where has my strength gone? Specialists call this process sarcopenia, a progressive loss of muscle mass and strength that intensifies as age advances. After 50 years of age, the body tends to lose from 1% to 2% of muscle mass each year, which, in itself, would already be a warning sign. But it gets even worse. Most people do not know that certain daily habits, especially in one's diet, can accelerate this loss by up to an impressive 40%. And there is one more alarming detail. Many of these suspect foods are present on the menus of those who consider themselves nutritionally conscious. Some even carry the label healthy or appear in popular diets. In this video, you will learn about 6 of these foods that, according to recent studies, are considered true enemies of the muscles of those who are past 50. And we are not just talking about those foods you already know are not good, such as sweets and fried foods. The list includes a vegetable treated as a pillar in many diets, and a fruit that many regard as naturally healthy. Before we begin, please leave your name and the city from where you are watching our content in the comments. Food number 6. White bread and refined flours. It may seem harmless, but the famous little daily bread can undermine your strength without you noticing. White breads and products based on refined flours go through an industrial process that removes fibers, vitamins, and minerals, resulting in foods with a high glycemic index and drastically reduced nutritional value. By ingesting these carbohydrates, you experience spikes in blood sugar followed by sharp drops. This metabolic roller coaster compromises protein synthesis, which is fundamental for preserving and building muscles, and creates an inflammatory environment that accelerates the loss of lean mass. The absence of fiber and micronutrients hinders the recovery of muscle fibers as the body starts to fight inflammation instead of dedicating itself to tissue repair. While sarcopenia naturally advances with age, the constant consumption of white bread and refined flours can intensify this process. In general, those who consume a lot of white bread tend to complement the meal with other ultra-processed foods, such as processed meats or industrial sauces, generating a vicious circle of sugar spikes and constant inflammation. Another little discussed factor is the short-term satiety that these products offer. You eat a white bread sandwich and soon feel hungry again, which increases the likelihood of additional snacks. As a result, the diet becomes rich in empty calories, moving further away from crucial nutrients, such as high biological value proteins, fibers, and minerals important for muscle function. The outcome is a faster loss of lean mass, anticipating the fragility that usually comes with aging. This is not about completely banning bread or pasta, but rather opting for more nutritious versions. Whole grain breads, for example, contain a higher amount of fiber, B-complex vitamins, and minerals such as magnesium, which are important for muscle contraction and regeneration. Whole grains and cereals also help to mitigate glycemic spikes, reducing systemic inflammation and helping to preserve the health of muscle fibers. Replacing white bread with whole grain alternatives or varying the source of carbohydrates with tubers and legumes can be a decisive step in slowing down sarcopenia, ensuring a more balanced supply of nutrients. Remember that when it comes to longevity and quality of life, each meal should work in your favor, not against you. Food number 5. Fruit juices rich in fructose. Many people believe that all fruit juice is synonymous with health, but things are not so simple. When we talk about industrialized juices or even homemade versions made only with the fruit, without fibers, the problem gains a full name: concentrated fructose. Although it is a natural sugar, an excess of fructose overloads the liver, leads to blood sugar spikes, and, in the long run, increases insulin resistance. The result is a reduced capacity for muscles to absorb nutrients, paving the way for a faster decline in muscle mass. By drinking a glass of juice, you may consume the equivalent of several fruits at once, something that would hardly happen if you ate them whole. This volume of fructose, without the presence of fiber to slow its absorption, can turn into abdominal fat deposits and silent inflammation. Consequently, the regeneration of muscle fibers is impaired. Moreover, the satiety offered by juices is limited, leading to the consumption of more calories throughout the day, reinforcing a cycle of fat gain and muscle loss. This does not mean demonizing whole fruit. When consumed whole, it provides fiber and essential phytochemicals that mitigate the glycemic impact and gradually nourish muscle cells. The problem arises when only the liquid is extracted, discarding the fibrous part. In older people, the body already suffers a natural reduction in the efficiency of muscle repair, and every excess of sugar amplifies the difficulty of recovering lean mass. The situation becomes even more serious with industrialized juices. Many contain refined sugar, corn syrup, or other concentrated sweeteners, becoming true fructose bombs. This scenario generates systemic inflammation, oxidative stress, and even less space for protein synthesis. The ideal is to prioritize whole fruit, or if making juice, try to include the fibers and combine it with vegetables, proteins, or healthy fats, reducing the speed of sugar absorption. Drinking water flavored with pieces of fruit, natural teas without sugar, or simply eating the fruit in its natural form are safer paths. Food number 4, excessive coffee. For many, coffee is the daily fuel that provides energy and focus. There is no problem consuming the beverage in moderation, and as we have mentioned in other videos on the channel, there are even benefits associated with controlled doses of caffeine. But when the cups multiply throughout the day, an excess of caffeine can become a considerable hindrance to the preservation of muscle mass. One of the central factors involves cortisol, known as the stress hormone. At chronically elevated levels, cortisol triggers the degradation of muscle proteins and hinders the regeneration of these tissues. Given that aging already reduces protein synthesis, this hormonal overload accelerates the loss of strength and lean mass. That extra energy that coffee provides often comes at a high biochemical cost. In addition, caffeine in excessive doses can interfere with the absorption of important nutrients such as calcium, iron, and zinc, which are crucial for musculoskeletal health. Calcium, for example, is essential for muscle contraction, while iron helps in the transport of oxygen. Without them in adequate levels, muscle fiber performance plummets and the process of sarcopenia intensifies. To make matters worse, age already makes the absorption of some minerals more difficult, and excessive caffeine only aggravates this limitation. Another decisive point is sleep. Caffeine interferes with rest cycles, especially if consumed in the late afternoon or evening. Quality sleep is fundamental for the release of anabolic hormones and protein synthesis. If sleep becomes fragmented or of short duration, the body does not have enough time to repair the damage suffered throughout the day, and the muscles are among the first areas to suffer the consequences. Once again, this does not mean that you need to eliminate coffee from your routine. 2 or 3 cups a day, preferably avoided at night, are usually safe for most people. If the bitter taste of the beverage is indispensable, you can opt for decaffeinated coffee at certain times. Another strategy is to combine coffee with foods rich in proteins or healthy fats, helping to balance the impact on metabolism and reduce cortisol spikes. The important thing is not to let a pleasurable habit become a slow poison for your muscles. Food number 3, excess raw spinach. I know, it is truly surprising to think that a vegetable so celebrated for its nutritional properties can, in certain contexts, harm the muscles. Spinach is rich in iron, vitamin K, and several antioxidants, but there is a catch. When eaten raw and in large quantities, the leaf carries significant levels of oxalic acid, an anti-nutrient that binds to minerals such as iron and calcium, hindering their absorption. For those already facing the natural loss of muscle mass, any blockage in obtaining calcium and iron can accelerate the decline in strength. Without these elements in sufficient quantity, sarcopenia finds fertile ground to advance. Ironically, raw spinach can deprive the body of 2 key nutrients at the same time. Another issue is the formation of oxalates, which not only impair the utilization of minerals, but can also overload the kidneys. In excess, raw spinach increases the risk of kidney stones, bringing health problems that indirectly affect the ability to maintain good musculature. Many people think they are doing a detox by including raw spinach in salads and green juices every day, without realizing that the excess can backfire. The solution, however, is simple. Cooking significantly reduces the oxalic acid, freeing the minerals so that the body can absorb them more efficiently. A brief sauté or blanching already diminishes the concentration of oxalate and maximizes the benefits of spinach. In addition, varying with other greens, such as kale, arugula, and watercress, helps you avoid the constant ingestion of the same anti-nutrient, better balancing the sources of vitamins and minerals. It is worth noting that spinach, like coffee, is not a villain in itself. It remains an extremely nutritious food, as long as it is consumed under the proper conditions. Just adjust the preparation method and avoid excess when eaten raw. Before we continue to number 3, do not forget to subscribe to the channel, because in times when many spread rubbish on the internet, in exchange for money, having constant access to correct and science-based information is what will make you progress in the long term in the world of bodybuilding. Food number 2, processed cold cuts. Ham, sausage, bologna, and other cold cuts are seen as practical options for everyday life, but they can pose considerable risks to muscle health. These products are usually rich in sodium, saturated fats, and chemical additives, composing an inflammatory cocktail that accelerates sarcopenia in older adults. The excess sodium is one of the main concerns. Although salt is essential in adequate amounts, the volume present in processed cold cuts usually exceeds any daily recommendation. This favors fluid retention and increases blood pressure, creating an environment conducive to systemic inflammation. In this scenario, the body has more difficulty repairing tissues, including muscle, aggravating the pace of lean mass loss. Preservatives such as nitrites and nitrates are also alarming. Employed to give color and prolong shelf life, these compounds can form toxic substances, increasing oxidative stress and damaging cells. For someone who is already in the natural process of aging, this extra wear and tear prevents efficient muscle recovery. In addition, many cold cuts present excessive trans or saturated fats, further increasing the inflammatory potential. The quality of the protein present in these foods is also debatable. Although they derive from meat, cold cuts have an amino acid profile inferior to that of lean cuts or other cleaner sources, such as fish and legumes, for those who need complete proteins to support their muscles. Investing in processed cold cuts is, in practice, missing the chance to provide the body with the most appropriate building blocks. These products are also usually very tasty, which encourages overconsumption, generating a caloric surplus that can turn into abdominal fat. As the fat increases and the muscles decrease, the body moves toward a state of chronic inflammation and greater frailty. Therefore, replacing cold cuts with higher quality proteins, such as fish, eggs, lean meats, or grains, is a valuable strategy for those seeking to age with more health and mobility. If convenience is crucial, there are artisanal options with fewer additives or even homemade preparations where you control the amount of salt and preservatives. Number 1. Alcohol. When thinking about beverages that harm health, alcohol generally appears at the top of the list. Even so, many people still believe that a glass of wine a day is good for you, or that social drinking is not a problem. In fact, there is a debate about small quantities of alcohol and possible beneficial effects, but when it comes to muscle mass in older people, caution is necessary. If ingested in excess or frequently, alcohol can be one of the greatest saboteurs of your strength and maturity. To begin with, alcohol dehydrates the body and overloads the liver, which becomes busy processing the substance instead of metabolizing proteins or storing glycogen in the muscles. This shift in priorities causes the body to neglect some tissue repair processes, which are fundamental to combating sarcopenia. In addition, alcohol disrupts the electrolyte balance, sodium, potassium, magnesium, which, as you already know, are all crucial for maintaining muscle contraction and relaxation. In older people, who already have a lower reserve of water and minerals, this dehydration can have an even more considerable impact. Another critical point is the drop in the rate of protein synthesis immediately after excessive alcohol consumption. Studies indicate that, especially in older people, the ingestion of alcoholic beverages can suppress the body's ability to convert amino acids into muscle protein, delaying the regeneration of already damaged fibers. If a person already has an insufficient protein intake in the diet, this effect adds up and makes the scenario of muscle loss even more pronounced. Alcohol also interferes with the quality of sleep, which is fundamental for muscle recovery. Although some people feel sleepy after drinking, the truth is that alcohol-induced sleep tends to be fragmented and of poor quality, compromising the deep stages of rest, where anabolic hormones are released and tissue repair occurs. For someone who already faces the fragility of bones and muscles, each poorly slept night represents another defeat in the fight against sarcopenia. We cannot forget the caloric aspect. Alcohol provides empty calories, which often turn into abdominal fat. This accumulation of fat activates inflammatory processes that, in turn, further hinder the gain or maintenance of muscle mass. The vicious circle is clear. The more alcohol, the greater the inflammation, the less muscle repair, and consequently, the greater the loss of strength and mobility. Of course, this is not about completely demonizing the beverage, but those over 50 should look at it with much more attention. If you choose to drink, let it be in moderation. Avoid alcohol close to bedtime and alternate with water to alleviate dehydration. These are basic strategies that can make a difference. More importantly, keep in mind that the habit of drinking every weekend or a few sips every day may seem harmless, but in the long run, it undermines the body's ability to preserve musculature. Now, one last warning. Besides having a good diet and regularly exercising, another essential factor for maintaining muscle mass is sleep. It is during rest that the body repairs tissues. However, many think that just sleeping a certain number of hours is enough, and they do not care about the quality of sleep. That is why we are now showing on the screen a video demonstrating the habits you must have to optimize your body so that it builds the maximum amount of muscle while you sleep. Do not miss it. Thank you for watching until here, and may God bless you, my friend.